Just try to reset each day and try to tackle maybe the highest priority tasks that maybe were left under the rug or you didn't finish that day. But also you have to give yourself grace too, because if you keep that stress, it will lead to worse neurological, chemical outcomes for you and your body long term. So
Exactly.
dump, reset, move on, present to the future.
Love that. I think most people will get distracted, and it's intention, and it's creating deadlines, and it's just holding yourself more accountable to where I think we always say we don't have enough time, but I think if you truly looked at your schedule and you really logged it, you're gonna find that you've been lying to yourself.
It's where your focus and attention is where your time goes.
Welcome to the Functional Code, your go-to source for decoding optimal health. Join Dr. Addy and Dr. Jace as they break down the science behind pain, performance, longevity, and more, making complex concepts easy for you to understand and apply in your life. Your journey to a healthier you begins with understanding the Functional Code.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Functional Code. We are excited to bring you guys today a new episode. We are going to be talking about the neuroscience of time management. We're going to get into some of the things where humans fall short. We're going to be talking statistics and research, and we're also going to be bringing you guys some, we'll call it more optimized ways of time management. We're going to break down some of the better ways that people are using time management skills and what that looks like. So as always, I am Dr. Addy.
And I am Dr. Jace. Yeah, we're going to start mastering your minutes. Now with this, we're going to get into some different techniques in terms of the Pomodoro Technique, time blocking, some other fun ones at the later end that will open up a little bit of discussion. And along the way, if you have questions, by all means, leave comments, share with anyone that you know in your everyday life. It helps spread the word and helps others with the impact of their day and their schedule as
100%.
well. So we start noticing that 85% of professionals feel overwhelmed in managing their tasks. It may not just be you, it's more people than we ever realize.
For sure.
Until you can master your schedule and know certain techniques, you're leaving a lot on the table. So that's what we're going to get into today. Doc, I love your intake on what are some of the alarming facts about time management in humans, and what are some of the things that we should be paying attention to?
Yeah, I actually was a bit, we'll call it surprised to hear some of these statistics about humans when it comes to how we perceive time and time management in itself. And ultimately, we are poor planners. We're poor planners. We don't quite recognize where time exists in relation to us. Some people think they're good at it, and through practice, I think others are better. But just in general, when they've studied humans, especially psychologists. For example, this is the first one, which is what's called the planning fallacy. And it's a cognitive bias identified by two psychologists. And what it means is even when we've done similar tasks before, we tend to believe we'll finish faster than we actually do. So for example, we say, gosh, I think today I'm going to try to clean the house. It'll take me about an hour, but you end up spending 3 hours cleaning the house. And just like that day is now drawn out, and things have to be changed down the line because you didn't finish that one task which got pushed. And how many times have we been in a deadline, didn't hit it, and then it pushed us out after that? And this happens more often than you think. And I think back to that all the time too. I do feel like I have dialed in my ability to plan my days into minutes even sometimes. But that is tentative. And I'd say 80%, 90% of the time I do hit it. But that's something that I've had to practice at.
Oh, it's so tough, yeah. When you say clean the house, when I start, I have to have so specific instructions on cleaning the house, or I notice one thing, I can do that and this at the same time.
Yep.
And then I pick a third task, and then prolongs the time, get more done-ish, but it's, I can understand that side of things.
And so I think if people understand, like you just said, was perfect action steps, how specific can you get to that time? That will help bring about maybe a better way to manage that activity.
Absolutely.
So 100%. The next was mood alters time perception. When we are happy or deeply engaged, time passes quicker because the brain records fewer time markers. However, when we're bored or anxious, we actually tend to be more aware of each time marker, which perceives that as we're dragging out that kind of time. And I think most people have heard the phrase "time flies when you're having fun," which it's very true. So with that, how I would take a look at that and say, when you do a job that you enjoy, there is just less of a feeling of boredness and anxiety and frustration and exhaustion. And I think most people dread going to work. They dread staying and having to be there minute by minute. And I think just looking at that, I would assume you're going to get a lot more out of life when you have something you actually are engaged in and are happy doing, even if you're making less money.
100%. And I would almost look at this very similarly, but how many times do you look at the clock a day?
100%.
That's where I think those time markers start to come in play. But yeah, like you said, if you're having fun, time flies.
You don't even think of it.
Definitely not.
You don't.
Definitely not.
The next is your chronotype dictates your natural productivity peaks, which what that means is some people are naturally wired to be more productive in the morning versus some are wired to be at night, like a night owl.
Yes.
So forcing yourself to work against your internal rhythm can reduce focus and performance. I tend to get way more done at night. I find that to be a zone of intense focus for myself. There's no one around me. I have no distractions. I've also wired myself that way from my 20s pretty much up to my 30s of needing to only be able to do that at night because of my schooling and everything else going on. But I do think I've always been wired to be a night owl, and I think I always will just be a night owl. And I've tried to change it, and it just hasn't worked. How about you, Doc?
I'm the same way. Like ever since I was even a teenager, I feel like if I can stay up, finish a task, I almost get that second peak of cortisol later in the afternoon.
Yep.
And you can just almost ride that with some of the daily tasks.
Yeah.
Oh man, it works so well. But subsequently, I think certain tasks I'm somewhat decent at in the morning, but in general, I'm definitely more of a night owl. Just
100%.
less of a barrier, less friction
Yeah.
mentally.
And for those of you who feel that, then lean into it.
Yes.
Really, make your schedule around it. It's tougher with, I feel, as a night owl because sleep is important and we all tend to wake up early for jobs and things like that. If there is a way around it, I think that can definitely optimize your strategies.
I love that.
Now, Doc, I know you talk about this all the time. Yeah, we have this Ultradian Rhythm. So every 90 to 120 minutes, your body and brain go through cycles of alertness and fatigue. And so you've talked about, and yeah, go ahead, maybe you want to just talk about that.
Yeah, I'm sure most people have heard of the circadian cycle, circadian rhythm. That works in roughly estimate of 24 hours or so, versus ultradian cycles work in 90-minute time zones throughout the day. A lot of that is deep hardwired into neural circuits on time blockers throughout the mind. So if you notice yourself getting into this deep work for a longer period of time and then you start getting like this mental fatigue, this lull, you're probably going in and out of these different types of cycles. So that's where you definitely would want to take breaks and then try to transition your mind so you can work into another ultradian cycle from
100%.
there. But, yeah.
And I think if more people understood that, they would have less fatigue during the day. They'd feel less exhausted. They were working with their evolution, not against it.
Yes.
And it's these little hacks that can make a huge difference during the day.
Yeah.
It may seem minute, but it really does. It really can help create less of a day of feeling exhausted or fatigued.
Yeah, and I like how you're breaking apart every little small section because I think it's important to know night hour or morning lark, understanding the 90-minute cycles, understanding your mood and where you're able to have less friction mentally.
Yes.
Like all these small things that we're talking about have to be individualized for each person.
For sure.
So just start taking notes on what and start thinking what works best for you, or maybe if you want to share this with others, what might work best for your spouse, your child, what have you with that.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I love that.
This next one, I definitely noticed too. Time perception is distorted when we're idle. Waiting in line feels slower than walking the same amount of time because movement kept your brain more engaged. So what I have noticed or feel is, for example, sitting at my desk for a longer period of time, doing some notes, goes by and I'm just like, oh man, I can't anymore. I got to get up and I got to move. However, if we're busy and I'm in and out of day 1 and day 2 patients and I'm adjusting and I'm checking on things, 4 hours goes by and I'm like, whoa, it was a vigorating 4 hours. Because 4 hours of notes sounds freaking miserable.
It's not fun.
So what that sounds like too, though, to me is if you have a desk job and you're sitting for 8 hours a day, how can you implement any bit of movement to make it feel different? I don't know. That's seriously, if I had a desk job, that's what I would be thinking.
Yeah.
How do I get any bit of movement in my day?
What tasks can you do outside of just sitting? And if so, work those into your day, like whether you have to make maybe paper copies, but you have to get this project done, maybe work those in together so you can get up, move at the same time, come back. But
do you have to do a 1-hour brainstorm study session? Well, do it on a treadmill. Or like, you can be creative.
yes.
It's tough. Sometimes I can understand exceptions, and I'm sure we all have those out there, but most of the time, if you really get creative, there are ways around it. They have these very small treadmills now.
Oh,
They're
gosh.
like tiny, and you can fit them in your office. And if your office doesn't like it, talk to HR and say that I would have a hard time understanding if they didn't agree with you having that there. But
Yeah,
anyway.
especially productivity. There's research backing that.
Exactly. So this next one, time feels faster as you age. One explanation is proportional time perception. When you're 5, a year is 20% of your life, but at 50, it's only 2%. Each year feels shorter because it's a smaller fraction of your experience. So summer break felt endless as a child, but now an entire year seems to go by in a flash. So these are just things that they have found in the brain. And lastly, we spend up to 5 years of our life just waiting. Studies suggest that the average person spends roughly 5 years waiting, whether in lines, in traffic, and hold, delayed services. A daily 30-minute commute adds up to about 120 hours over a year, which means 5 full days lost annually.
Wow.
Which, who wouldn't like to have that extra 5 days to go on a trip?
I think 2 things to that. One, with the time aging as you get older, I think a lot of people will get into these habits that they're naturally stuck in, and then they look back of like where the time go and so quick.
Good point.
I think if you don't have as many new experiences, it can have that feeling, and I think a lot of people don't try to pursue those new experiences.
Right. They fall into a little bit of a, what we'd call a rut or a lull.
Yes.
Yeah.
But secondarily, with the 5 years waiting, I think there's also some positives that can come out of that just the same, like the art of patience.
Sure.
And especially at a younger age, if you can increase that time to teach that lesson early on, I think it has better effects long-term throughout your life.
Agreed.
I think there's some pros and cons to that, but yeah, 5 years waiting,
It does sound,
it's a lot.
That sounds like a lot though.
But
with that, I want to jump into some of the, we'll call it general research regarding humans and time management. These studies are actually really helpful for us to understand how we perceive time and what time does to us as we start to do activities, jobs, projects, and what kind of things that stressors can put on us when we use time often to plan our day and think about. So this first study, effects of time management interventions on mental health and well-being factors. It showed that time pressure and work intensification are risk factors for mental health issues. The study highlighted that time-related stressors like time poverty, meaning you feel like there's not enough time to get things done, and work intensification are strongly linked to poor mental health outcomes in employees. And so what it said was, these prior studies and reviews have shown links between time management behaviors like planning and prioritization and improved well-being, such as time blocking, planning your day, making sure you stick to activities. But if you allow the stress of falling short or feeling like you're not having enough time, that's actually what's going to give you worse outcomes when it comes to managing your time.
I could so see that, especially when you have deadlines, you have tasks you need to get done. Just try the reset each day and try to tackle maybe the highest priority tasks that maybe were left under the rug or you didn't finish that day. But also you have to give yourself grace too, because if you keep that stress, it will lead to worse neurological, chemical outcomes for you and your body long term. So
Exactly.
dump, reset, move on, present to the future.
Love that.
Yeah, let's go.
We got to timestamp that.
Clip.
Relation between stress, time management, and academic achievement in preclinical medical education. This showed a strong correlation between time management and academic success. Study found association between good time management skills and higher academic performance in medical students. Students who practiced structured scheduling, planning, and prioritization scored better academically. So this isn't just a life skill. Being able to perform and compete and get ahead in certain areas. Not everybody wants that, but I think most want to be better. They're always looking to try to get better, climb the ranks, make more money, all those things. Maybe not everyone's looking to be a medical student, but I think it does apply to everybody else.
Yeah, I would say the same thing on that one. I think you hit the nail on the head perfectly.
So the last one is a rapid review of time management strategies among nurse managers.
Ah, interesting.
The most consistently effective techniques for nurse managers included setting clear goals and identifying task priorities. These helped reduce overwhelming feeling and ensuring the critical responsibilities are addressed efficiently. Now, I know we're going to talk about certain techniques that involve both of those, blocking time and then prioritizing these tasks, figuring out which ones should you be starting on first, which ones can maybe pushed away, and then understanding that. But so it was interesting to see that they had actually studied this and shown these techniques that you can implement surely do make a difference. It's not just something that people feel.
Oh, I love that.
So Doc, the first one, I know we both use, the Pomodoro Technique. What is it and how can it help us?
Beautiful. And yeah, with this technique, there's certain reasons why this works, and there's also things that you can improve upon this specific technique, which can be specific for each person as well. So essentially, this Pomodoro technique is a time management method that uses small breaks with focused work, and you build that up over a period of time. Essentially, when you look at this neurologically wise, taking focused work, small break, it naturally helps you upload that information which you just learned into some of the deeper brain cortexes, and it's easier for recall as well too. So with some of these, I know I use some of this like in school, and we'll get into certain specifics, but it actually works quite well. So it was actually early adopted by a person named Francisco Cirillo in the late 1980s. It's pretty much he used this small kitchen timer to help for his procrastination. And what he started noticing with even later research that it helps optimize your time. So what it is, when you first start off at least using this technique, it's about 25 minutes of work known as a Pomodoro, and then you take a 5-minute break. You repeat that anywhere from 2 to 4 sessions of 25-minute work intervals, and then after about 2 to 4 sessions, you would want to take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes. So it prolongs it there. So I think once you get to a certain amount of smaller breaks, your brain can only handle so much information at one time.
So basically it's 25-minute, 5-minute break.
Yep.
Repeat about 2 to 4 times and then just take a longer break.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and with these longer breaks, I would definitely suggest adding in movement,
Yes.
even the smaller breaks as well. But maybe one of those to where it's like a newer concept, it's harder for you to retain or potentially even understand the information. That's where I would go into either yoga nidra or just a deep relaxation, like meditative state. Because we're noticing with research, if you get into these early stages of deep relaxation, it helps for upload and understanding and recall of memory and information as well. So
awesome.
that would be a really good way that you can implement it there.
And if you need help in figuring out what to do on your breaks, check out our past podcasts. I think the office worker one had some good ones. Can't remember what other we had for micro breaks, but
there's a few
yeah,
here and there.
but I do think even planning out your breaks, thinking of what to do on the micro breaks, 5 minutes may not seem like a lot of time, but I promise you can get a lot done body-wise, health-wise in those breaks. and that can help improve your day, optimize your day.
Yeah, so much so that they're even finding in research, even in 2024, that it helps with cognitive events, recall, even just your attention control with understanding these time periods and what you're trying to learn. But let's say, for example, and I know we probably fall in this time slot to where if I'm trying to focus on one thing for 25 minutes, I'm able to stay longer in that focus work. So it's even saying that you can even work into 50 or even hour-long focus work time slots and then take maybe a little longer break of 10 minutes.
Sure. So there's variance, obviously, with each person, I'm sure.
Yes.
Right away, if you aren't used to taking breaks, this is probably a good place to start.
Yes.
But if you can figure out a way to stay more dialed in, I do think 25 minutes for me, I would blow by that.
Same.
I don't know if I could do 25, and I'm just thinking that even other jobs, salespeople who make 300 calls a day, they probably have to stay dialed in for a good amount of time.
Yes.
And then break. But some salespeople out there, I'm sure, watching this are like, I can't take breaks. And I get it. I get that you do feel like those breaks are going to prevent you from staying on top of the sales list, all that. But to what's the word I'm thinking of? Sacrifice.
Yes.
Eventually, these types of activities add up, and making sure that you aren't burnt out after working this job for how long. These micro breaks are a way to stay on top of your brain, and stay on top of your health, so you're not feeling overwhelmed, burdened. The research is there. It really is.
Yeah, it's pretty much working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And long term, if you work hard enough, your body will break down, your mind will break down, anxiety, depression will ensue. It's just a natural human state. Yes, you might be one of the outliers where you can push it off for years on end, but I know we've both seen the results of that. And
Yeah.
tried it, tried pushing through it, and regardless, you're going to need that.
I break a lot, but it's a productive break. I'd almost call it a cue for more creative work.
Ooh, I love that.
And I'll go and I'll walk around the clinic. I'll make sure everything is cleaner. I'll make sure that people are still doing what they're doing. I'll check on providers. So it's not that I'm just breaking for being on my phone. I use that as an excuse to stand up, move, but also, again, being productive and checking on things. So there are definitely, again, ways to build into your breaks and still be productive and have it be successful for you.
I love that. So let's say outside of us, you're going to have to spend some deep work, or maybe you're a writer, you're just an office worker. It doesn't matter. If you know you're going to have to either sit for longer periods of time or get a task done that might take a long period of time, start thinking in the back of your mind, what other small things do you also need to get done that can maybe take less than 2 minutes?
Yep.
Keep those as a subsequent, either in a small list off to the side. So when you're doing this and you get to like that mental fatigue, get up, move, try either, if you want to be productive, clear out those small tasks, try to move around, and then come back into it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Let us know if that works well for you. Let us know what you guys have been doing breaks-wise, and if you need any advice or help, let us know.
I love that.
So next we have time blocking. I think this one has gotten pretty popular in the last how many years with, I know Elon.
Yes.
I think they've talked about that. I can't remember if there's a couple others that have done it, but Doctor, what is time blocking and how do people take advantage of this technique?
Yeah, so this is fascinating enough. Ben Franklin actually started this
I did, really?
a long time ago, apparently.
That's incredible.
So more or less, and there's a lot of people that utilize it. I think this is mainly broken into most people's daily schedule, but I don't think most people optimize it how they should. So essentially time blocking is where you block out specific time blocks of either focus work in your calendar so you can manage tasks and time a little bit easier, thus leading to better productivity and focus. But there's certain specifics with this, and this is more coming with how Elon does it, to where you, at the beginning of the day when going into it or planning out the night before or week before, you want to know what are the main, 3, 4, 5 main tasks you need to get done for that day. And that has to be put on the calendar, whether those are stars by them, bold, and the others are not bold. Hugely important for the main tasks. Subsequently, you also want to know, do you work better in the morning, afternoon, and maybe put those priorities wherever your preference is.
Yep.
Now, in addition to that, there's a whole subset of a section to where you can put other small tasks that maybe don't need to get done that day, maybe not high priority, but they're there. They can maybe push out, if you don't get it done today, maybe tomorrow, maybe a week, 2 weeks out. So you can just cross those off, and then they can transfer from one day to the next. But essentially it just helps you focus on the main priority tasks. It puts it into your time calendar in block sections, whether it's Elon works in 5 to 15 minute sections, most half-hour sections or so. So whatever works better for you, your job, your life, it works really well to start that point.
Yeah, Mark Cuban, actually, he likes to wake up. He does what he calls the most decision-heavy tasks in his blocks. And then he blocks very low effort, low brain power things towards the end of the day. Because he feels the decision fatigue. He wants to wake up with what energy he has and attack the higher priority things. And then he knows throughout the day, you end up making more decisions, even what you want to eat, what you're gonna, all the little things add up. And he says at a certain point in time, he just doesn't want to make any more decisions. And he just does very low intensity tasks, and that's how he ends his day. And that one has also been one that I've tried to adopt sometimes too. And it can help make a difference.
Jeff Bezos, I would be curious, are they going to be more morning individuals, like morning larks, or night owls?
I don't know.
And that's where
I know
that
Elon
might matter.
is a night owl. I feel like I
heard that.
I've heard that. I heard that guy doesn't sleep either, but
I don't know how he does it, honestly. There's a couple of lines of research that definitely support this time blocking. Obviously, you see that some of the top people, thinkers in the world, not only past but also present, use this, but they're showing research, even a study in 2024 titled Intelligent Workforce Management showed 18% higher task completion accuracy, 25% reduction in scheduling conflicts. I assume especially when you're organized and can plan it out either a day or a couple of days before, but more or less it just helps for focused work from there. So that is something interesting. We'll also have this time block planner that we've made. There's a bunch of different ones. I know there's going to be apps made on them with the top priority tasks, daily tasks, and you can put them in.
I still have yet to find like an AI time blocking app, or
I think there's one we might actually get into that.
Really?
Here.
Oh, sweet. Let's do that. I'm excited.
To be determined. We're going to come back to that in a hot sec. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that more or less you want to focus into your schedule and planner. You don't want to forget the sleep. You don't want to forget exercise. You don't want to forget adding in family time, whether it's focus work, creative work, family, personal stuff. That all should be put into the time block planner. Maybe when you're first starting off, if it's just work, go main priorities at work and then other tasks at work. But if you are more familiar and if you're more seasoned with this, obviously you're going to automatically start implementing more of this sleep, family stuff as well too, but just take it to the next level on that
100%,
side.
100%. So the last one we have here, Doc, is energy management over time management. What kind of a concept is that?
So I think this comes back to, are you a morning person? Are you an afternoon person? Okay. Where are you spending a majority of your energy? And do you have more energy in the morning, in the afternoon? I think that all matters to a certain extent. So there's different studies that this kind of goes down to, but I think that's the main point. It's better understanding who you are as a person, what ways that you study or live or complete tasks, and try to optimize your schedule in those time frames. I think at the end of the day, it comes back to your energy. But I like the quote that was coined by Tony Schwartz and Jim Lawyer. They wrote a book called The Power of Full Engagement. They argue that time is finite, but energy is renewable, which, I mean, it makes sense. We only have so much, everyone has only 24 hours in a day. How can you optimize your energy? And with energy being renewable, the outcome in terms of sleep, rest, excitement, enjoyment, and then working that into your schedule just at the same time as well.
So it's more of a instinctive way to manage your time.
Yes.
Figuring out ways to block in the exercise, the sleep, things you know that will refill your cup and stop just basically taking your brain power without putting anything back into yourself, fuel, those kinds of things.
That's beautiful.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, there's a few other time management strategies that we've touched on certain concepts of each of them before, but give you different perspective if maybe the Pomodoro technique or the time blocking technique may work for you, but you want to do a little bit of a hybrid. By all means, let's add a couple different ones into the concept. That way it can be more specific for whatever you best would like to try. So there's a strategy known as Eisenhower matrix, which it pretty much breaks down urgent versus important into different quadrants. So it's prioritizing your schedule. So when we said with the time blocking, what are the main priority tasks and what are the other tasks? With this Eisenhower matrix, it's what is urgent that needs to get done immediately, what is urgent but maybe doesn't need to get done right away, and then what is not urgent but you probably want to get done sooner, and then what is not urgent that you can push off to the end. So there's about 4 quadrants there, and then whatever the tasks you need to get done, you can prioritize those throughout your day too.
I tend to do a lot of prioritization with my tasks. I find it to be very helpful, especially
lovely.
efficiency-wise.
Yes.
When you're doing the things that are the most priority first, you tend to get the most outcome. And what's example, maybe calling and knowing that you're going to have to be on the phone waiting for a while. For example, I'll literally give you a thing that I had to do the other day. I had to call Cox to try to figure out my bill because they are overcharging me for something.
Internet, right?
Yeah.
Cox Internet. Yeah.
And then I also had cleaning the kitchen on my, and I was like, okay, I would love to just go and clean. It's mindless and I know I could get it done, but I also don't want to wait on the phone. But I know that'll help my money-wise, bill-wise, and I know I need to get it done. So priority, urgent, save some money, probably more important, I can clean anytime. These are the things that you can tend to do. There are those tasks that you can put into these quadrants, and I do find that when I do pick the ones with more priority, even though at the time it's harder to do, you just know that those do accumulate. It does end up
100%.
accumulating.
And I like that, combining the tasks together, because I'm right there with you. I always mentally drained when I try to go into longer phone calls I don't want to have.
Yep.
It's just, the stress.
Doing the not fun
Yes.
stuff every day.
100%. Now there's another strategy known as eat that frog, and that's where you want to do the hardest thing earlier on the day, so it helps with procrastination. I think that's going back to your point with Mark Cuban.
Yep.
I think also you have to understand, are you a morning lark, night owl as well? So there's a little bit of that, but that is another concept. Now another one is time tracking, where you analyze your week time logs and you find where there's times where it opens up time that you may not realize, whether you're logging what you're doing every single day for maybe a couple days straight. I think most people realize anytime they're on their phone, those are the times you can optimize.
You're going to look back at that week and you're going to say, wow, I was on my phone for 15 hours this week, 20 hours. That's a part-time job.
Ooh, yeah.
So I do think most people you're going to find some time that if you feel like your life is chaotic and you don't feel like you're managing it appropriately, if you add that into your life, I bet you can find some hidden time to help you with the rest of your activities.
Well stated.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then another strategy is the 2-minute rule. So if there's any tasks that take less than 2 minutes, drop what you're doing, go do it. But I think you can be smart with that, what you did with the phone call, working, and the other tasks, cleaning the house. I think that's incredibly smart as well. So maybe those, in terms of like a time blocking calendar, those could be maybe at not the highest priority tasks, but small tasks that you need to get done. And then if you have time, just work those into your day. Or when you take small breaks with the Pomodoro technique.
Pomodoro,
thank you. I knew I wasn't saying it right. That's funny. So yeah, those are a couple different ones. And there's another one known as getting things done, or GTD, where the main purpose is you capture, clarify, organize, reflect, and engage. So it's a different system in terms of assessing what you're doing, reflecting, can you optimize it, and then try to tweak to make it better. So I think that's a different one off to the side, but you can start seeing how all these kind of are being put to in a different light so you can see what works maybe better for you or not on
sure.
that side. So, Doc, this is, I think, going back to some of the top digital tools that can help for
This is exciting.
time management.
I can't wait to try these.
Yeah. So there's an app tool known as Notion, which helps centralize docs, task calendars, and there's different templates and databases from there. I haven't used Notion before, but I know others have, and I know others actually like it. Have you used that before?
Never heard of it. I haven't heard of any of these.
Oh, okay. Ooh, beautiful.
Again, I actually, Motion I might have heard.
Okay.
But so far, it's funny, one's Notion and one's Motion.
Yeah.
But no, I have yet to use any AI, whether it's a planner or a time blocker or something that helps me track time or send me nothing. It really doesn't. So I actually have been looking for one. I might take these 5 or 3 of them and see what that looks like for the next month or 2, and I'll report back and see what I found. But yeah, so centralizes docs, tasks, and calendar. So it just puts it all into one hub, and I'm sure it allows you to keep better track of things. And okay,
I think so.
For sure.
I wish I've used some of these myself going into this, but just gives other people more resources on that side. And
I would love to know if you guys have used these too.
Yeah,
This really
please.
helps. We would love to learn more about that.
yes, so the Motion one, that's one where AI auto plans your schedule. I think that's the one that can have a template for time blocking.
And I think
so that would be
it
the one.
integrates into your email too.
Ah,
That's
interesting.
what I see that it does. I don't know how, but that was another one too.
Beautiful. And I'm curious to see, do they ask you questions, and or what is your priorities, so it can help map out your schedule, and
Yep.
you can maybe switch things around from there. But yeah, so we have Notion, we have Motion, and then there's a Sunsama, Sunsama, which is a daily planner, which helps for also blocking out your calendar and time. Especially there's different week prompts that can, or I'm assuming notifications coming up, which helps for your planning throughout your everyday week. So there's that one. There's another one known as Rescue Time, which helps track focus time, sends alerts, which and then also analyzes the analytics for how focused you are during that time. So
that'd be helpful for those starting
that might be
out.
a good one.
Good data
Absolutely.
to show your efficiency.
100%. And then another one known as Clockify, which is a billable hour tracking. There's different cross platforms. I'm not 100% sure as much there, but
Yeah, give them all a
kind
try.
of a good one.
Let us know what you find. I'm going to do the same, and maybe we'll create a updated, we'll call it just the digital part of maybe time management or something.
Hey,
and
let's go.
We can see how that goes.
That's beautiful. And I know one that's not on here, but one that Hermosi has used, and it's not as much technology as it is like just putting your phone in a box with a timer on it,
yeah.
pretty much. Because with the main distractor for most of us being our phones or technology of some sort, if you can eliminate that temptation from grabbing your phone so you're able to get into this focus work, that's another really good tool.
He also does what I would call like a varied Pomodoro technique, where he has these small little timers now that he can just crank and turn up like 2 minutes all the way to 30 or 40 or
Yeah.
50. And he'll just guess how long he thinks it's going to take to get a task done. So he'll say, okay, Layla, let's talk about this for 17 minutes. He'll turn it to 17 minutes, click, and they're just focused on it. Time is up. If they're right around the time that they finish it, he's perfect. If they feel like they need more time, then they'll give themselves more time. But they just constantly try to predict how long it'll take to finish something, so they try to stay more on task. And so the hold yourself to 25 minutes, take a break. It's like that. It's also, I don't know, it's like his own thing. I don't know. It was something that encouraged me enough to start trying to track how I am planning and doing things and getting things done. So I'll look at the time, I'll say, okay, it's 4:43. I'm going to get the rest of these notes done by 5 p.m. And if I'm not, then I'm going to do something different. I'm going to try to be more efficient after that. And then when I come back to it, I'm going to try to get the rest done at a certain time. Again, just practicing how I feel like. But if I don't get anything done in that time, I got distracted or like something like that, then I need to figure out a way how to manage that. So
Yes.
what I found too is I'll tell my staff, I'll be like, okay, I'm doing this. Don't come talk to me. And I'll text them. And I'll be like, this is what I'm going to try to get done. So in the mornings, everyone's ready to rush to you for questions to get the day started. It's perfect. It's great. But let's say I have an hour that I want to just crush things for the first morning. I'll be like, all right, nobody talk to me. Nobody come to me. I'm going to do this for the first hour. You'll talk to me after that. And it does help create more efficiency. I can get things done. I'm not distracted. It is, you got to be creative. You got to be creative to get things done. With your kids, if you've been talking to them and say, hey, go watch this movie for an hour. I'm going to get things done. I don't know. I'm just thinking off of the cuff, but I know that there are ways that you can become more efficient just by being creative.
I love how you communicate with your staff on that. And there's a good way and a bad way to do it. Obviously, be respectful. They understand.
I don't
the
yell at
reason
them
why,
and say, don't
obviously,
come
yeah.
talk to me, of course. I say,
Yes.
look, I'm going to try really hard to get this done. If you have things that are important, please bring them to me. But until then, I just have you respect that. And they understand.
Love
I
that.
probably said it a little less.
Yeah,
But
that's perfect. And I think some of this also comes down to what's known as like the Parkinson's law, where you pretty much, whatever time you allow for any tasks, you're going to take up either that whole time, unless you try to optimize the amount of time you have and maybe make it smaller, a little bit more realistic. Then you can put all your attention effort into that smaller time frame instead of a larger time frame.
Yep.
So let's say, for example, I got to get this done today. That's where
You're
it
going
might
to
take
take all
you
day.
all day.
You're going to
Yes.
take all day to get it done.
Yes.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
That's one that I need to get better at too.
Same.
Yep.
It's the small tasks that you reflect on. Oh, I should have done this, and then
Yep.
try to do better. And if this similar task comes up, zone in. Not all day, maybe not all morning. Maybe let's half hour, 15 minutes. Let's get
Yep.
it. Let's get it done.
Yep.
I love that.
So one way to do that would be make a list of 10 things you need to get done. Put a time of the day that you expect to get those things done. And
Beautiful.
then stick to that schedule. That could be a way to use Parkinson's law for sure.
Beautiful. And that kind of rolled right into our next segment, which subsequently we just did that first one. So I would engage you guys, and I know we've touched on this a little bit already, but with the Pomodoro technique, try it yourself. 25 minutes for a task, maybe it's on a Saturday, Sunday, or even in your everyday work day, was one thing that you can get done or focus on. Even if it's you're trying to get back to reading, you're trying to maybe, let's say, meal plan for the week.
Yep.
Are you able to get that done in a small time frame? If so, awesome, work on it for that 25 minutes, maybe 50 minutes or so. Take a small break. Doc, how long does it take you to make your meals for the week typically?
It's about 4 hours, but I automate or create non-assisted tasks in the beginning.
Ah, interesting.
So I put everything in the oven. So I prep, takes about an hour, and then my break is cook time.
Ah, okay.
So I in a way do a very elongated Pomodoro effect to do that.
Interesting.
So hour of prep, all cook in oven, whether it's my smoker, whether it's the oven, non-assisted now. I can just let it sit. And then I have an alert to go check, but then I go do other things on top of that. Laundry, clean, work, podcast, whatever I got to do.
Yes.
Once my break is done, we'll call it a productive break, I go back, finish putting things into my containers, another 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then again, break time, go do other things. So that has been the most efficient for me, just knowing what I have to prep, how to get that done in whatever time, and then I can just be unassisted and not have to worry about that. So I think others who have never really meal prepped, they can feel overwhelmed because they think they have to be a part of that process for how long. What you don't realize is you can cook 4 or 5 meals at a time as long as you know what the prep looks like, when you don't have to be a part of it, when you do. And if you start practicing that, you'll realize you can get a lot done when you don't have to, while you're waiting for that food to cook. And you can still be efficient with the rest of your time.
I love that.
Yep.
It's like small tasks within a large subsequent task, if we will.
So I do it's really a Pomodoro. It's
Yeah.
hour prep, break time, I'm efficient.
Yep.
Do that again, prep again for my next meals. If cook time, I'm efficient. And I just repeat that until all my meals are done.
Interesting. That's
Yeah.
so smart. And it's the same thing with like my wife. And we split different tasks up, so I'm mainly in control of the laundry.
Sure.
Whether it's prepping, getting the laundry in, which doesn't take too much.
Yep.
Smaller subsequent of time, and then go and take a break. transferring it out, or you take it out of the dryer, fold close,
Yep.
where another load is going in, so there's a full and close with a small break. So you can see how each task can have different subsequent smaller tasks within it,
Yep.
and just optimize everything from there. So
Yeah,
interesting.
I think most people will get distracted, and it's intention, and it's creating deadlines, and it's just holding yourself more accountable to where I think we always say we don't have enough time, but I think if you truly looked at your schedule and you really logged it, you're gonna find that you've been lying to yourself.
It's where your focus and attention is
Yep.
where your time goes.
And I know there's a part on your phone now you can look at screen time,
Yep.
which is not fun to look at, but if you do find you're at I don't even know what I'm at. Actually, I want to look. I want to see what my
Let's
screen
see
time
it.
is. I want to see how bad I am.
And
'cause-
as he's looking, I will take a effect of, if there's any one technique that you learned today that you want to try to commit to, comment below. Let us know what has worked better for you, what is something that already works for you that you might want to share, because a lot of people read the comments and they might get some intake. So subsequently, you're going to help pass down your advice to others just by commenting itself. That's an awesome way to engage in this whole movement time production.
So on average, I'm at about 4 hours a day.
Okay.
On the weekends, it's a lot higher. During the week, it's lower. Obviously, we're working and all the other things. So how I would look at that and say, okay, if it is about 4 hours, what could 4 hours look like for me? Now, it's different. I do work out, and I do have other things that I think other people are trying to fit time into. So for me, what does an extra 4 hours in a day look like? And that could just be getting more of my tasks done, could be moving more, because an hour workout on average is still healthy, but could I go walk another hour? And what other things could I do? Now, these are all the things that I think if others were to look at their phone, I'm going to guess you're going to be at that 8 to 12 hour a day range. And that's where, when I look at that, I'm going to say, okay, how can I get that to 2 hours? When and where and how can I get that to 2 hours? I saw that my weekend was much higher. Like, I think I was in that 8 to 10 hour. Okay, I'm like, man, I want to do so much more. I want to go hike. I want to do other things that I'm obviously finding myself in. So how do I get that to 5 hours and use that extra time to go and actually do the things that I've been talking about doing and not, those kinds of things. But yeah, I think that's a great metric to start with on tracking time. Very simple. Talk anything else?
Yeah, it's assess, recognize, and then actually create actions towards bettering yourself. Because it's one thing to just recognize it, but it's another thing to put action towards what your goals are. But yes,
Beautiful.
I love that.
100%.
So,
100%.
yeah, but yeah, I believe that's all we have for you today.
Perfect. Yes, guys, thank you so much. We hope this was valuable for you. Please let us know if you have any comments, questions, concerns. Share this with those that you think would be valuable. I think everybody could get some value from trying to improve this part of their life. Until next time, guys, share, subscribe, and always we will see you again. Woo! You take care.
Disclaimer, the content provided in this health podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or 911 immediately. Reliance on any information provided in this podcast is solely at your own risk. The creators and hosts of this podcast are not responsible for any actions or decisions you may take based on the information presented.
Thanks for joining us on The Functional Code. For more evidence-based health insights, subscribe, rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, your journey to a healthier you begins with understanding the functional code. Until next time, stay well, stay informed, and embrace the science of living well.